CEO left work early and froze when he saw a beggar with a baby on his sofa. Richard Thompson froze in the doorway of the living room. After 15 years of working late into the night, he had decided to leave early for the first time, but now he deeply regretted that decision. A disheveled-looking woman was sitting on his Italian leather sofa, feeding a baby with a bottle. Her tangled hair fell over her tired face, and the hooded coat she wore had seen better days. "Mrs. Jenkins," Richard shouted, looking for the housekeeper who had worked in his home for over a decade. The 62-year-old woman came running from the kitchen, her hands nervously wiping on the floral apron she always wore. "Dr. Richard, you're home early today. I can explain everything, I swear I can explain." "Who is this woman? How did she get into my house?" Richard's voice came out louder than he intended. The woman on the sofa looked up for the first time. Her brown eyes were tired, but carried a strange familiarity that made Richard's stomach twist. "She fainted at the front door, doctor. She was holding the baby and collapsed right at the gate. I couldn't bring myself to leave her on the street with that child." Mrs. Jenkins' voice trembled. "You should have called an ambulance, not brought a stranger into my house." "Richard," the woman spoke for the first time, her voice hoarse, as if unused for a long time. "You've always been so angry when you're scared." The businessman felt a chill run down his spine. Something in that voice, in the way she said his name, stirred memories he had buried long ago. "Who are you?" he asked, taking a step back. The woman kissed the baby's forehead tenderly before answering. "My name is Emily. Emily Wilson Thompson. We're cousins, Richard. I grew up with you until I was 12, remember?" Richard's world seemed to spin. Wilson Thompson. That surname hadn't been spoken in his house for over 20 years. "That's impossible. I don't have a cousin named Emily. You used to call me Emmy, and I called you Rich because I couldn't say Richard properly." She smiled sadly. "Do you remember our hiding spot behind Grandma Betty's fridge, where we'd sneak dulce de leche?" Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now back to the story. Richard felt his legs go weak. No one, absolutely no one, knew about that hiding spot. Not even his wife Catherine knew those details from his childhood. You died. My father said you moved far away and would never come back." "I didn't die, Rich. Our parents fought over Grandpa George's inheritance. Mine took me away, but I never forgot you." Mrs. Jenkins watched the conversation in silence, sensing something profound was happening between them. "Prove you're who you say you are." Richard crossed his arms, trying to maintain the composure that had made him a respected businessman. Emily adjusted the baby in her arms and raised her right hand. A small but visible scar ran across the base of her thumb. "Remember when I cut my hand trying to open that guava jelly can? You cried more than I did and promised you'd always protect me." The memory hit Richard like a punch to the gut. He was 8, she was 7. It had been a sunny Sunday and they were alone in their grandparents' kitchen. The blood, the panic, the rush to the clinic. "Emily." His voice came out as a whisper. "Hi, Rich." She smiled, and for a moment, Richard saw the little girl with long hair and a gap-toothed grin, who had been his best friend in childhood. The sound of the front door opening interrupted the moment. High heels clicked determinedly on the marble floor. "Richard, you're home early?" Catherine's voice echoed through the entryway. The businessman closed his eyes. His wife wouldn't understand any of this. Catherine was a practical woman who didn't tolerate surprises or changes in routine. "I'm in the living room, dear," he replied, trying to keep his voice steady. Catherine Thompson swept into the room like an elegant hurricane. At 45, she carried herself with the upright posture of someone who had attended the finest schools in New York City. Her blonde hair was perfectly styled, and her pale pink outfit didn't have a single wrinkle. "Richard, what is this?" She stopped abruptly upon seeing Emily on the couch. "Catherine, this is my cousin Emily." "Cousin? What cousin? You've never mentioned any cousin." Catherine's green eyes flashed with irritation. Emily stood up slowly, clearly uncomfortable with the tension in the air. I'm sorry for the trouble, Ma'am. I didn't mean to cause any problems. If you'd prefer, I can leave. That's exactly what you'll do, Catherine crossed her arms. Richard, I demand an explanation. Who is this woman and why is she in our house with that baby? The baby, as if sensing the tension, began to cry. Emily rocked him gently, but the crying only grew louder. He's hungry again, she murmured, visibly worried. I need the special formula. He has a severe allergy and can only take one specific kind. What kind of allergy? Mrs. Jenkins stepped closer, her maternal tone surfacing. A cow's milk protein allergy. If he has regular milk, he could have a very bad reaction. The doctor at the clinic said it could even be dangerous. Catherine huffed impatiently. Richard, are you really going to let this charade continue? It's obvious this woman is making up a story to take advantage of you. It's not a charade, Richard said quietly, still processing the situation. She really is my cousin. How? Why have you never told me? Emily kissed the baby's forehead as he continued to cry. Please, if someone could buy the formula. He's been like this for hours. I don't have any money, but I promise I'll pay you back as soon as I find work. Richard looked at the crying baby in Emily's arms and felt something tighten in his chest. It was a feeling he hadn't experienced in a long time. Mrs. Jenkins, could you go to the pharmacy? Buy the formula she's asking for. Richard, Catherine protested. You can't just... Catherine, it's just formula for a child, he interrupted. We'll talk later. Mrs. Jenkins nodded and left quickly, seeming relieved to have an excuse to escape the tense atmosphere. Catherine sat in an armchair, clearly furious, but trying to maintain her composure. So, Emily, is it? Tell me about this cousin story I've never heard of. Emily rocked the baby, trying to soothe him. Our parents were siblings. Richard and I grew up together until our parents had a falling out. It was a bad fight over my grandfather's inheritance. And where have you been all these years? Catherine asked sarcastically. Traveling the world? Emily lowered her eyes. No, ma'am, life hasn't been easy for me. My parents tried to start over in another city, but things never worked out. When they passed, I was left alone. Passed? Richard asked. Dad had a heart problem when I was 17. Mom followed 2 years later. Since then, I've been getting by as best I can. Catherine studied Emily with a critical gaze. And this baby? Whose is it? She's my daughter, Lily. She's 4 months old. And the father? Emily hesitated, and Richard could tell it was still a very raw wound. He left when he found out I was pregnant. Said he wasn't ready to be a father. Catherine laughed humorlessly. How convenient. And now you show up here, of all places, at your rich cousin's house with a sick baby. What an interesting coincidence. Catherine, stop, Richard said firmly. It's not like that. It's not like that. Richard, you're so naive. This woman is clearly trying to take advantage of you. Emily stood up abruptly, the baby still crying in her arms. I didn't come here to ask for money. I just wanted to see how you were doing, Rich. After all these years, I just wanted to know if you were okay. Then why didn't you reach out before? Catherine pressed. Because I did, Emily replied, pain in her voice. I tried, many times. But every time I got close to your building, I lost my nerve. How could someone like me ever talk to someone like you? Richard felt a tightness in his chest. He remembered the brave girl Emily used to be. Seeing her now, uncertain and afraid, stirred something deep inside him. How did you know where I live? I saw you leaving the building where you work. I followed your car a few times, always keeping my distance. I found out where you lived, but I never had the courage to ring the bell. Catherine stood up sharply. That's stalking. Richard, you need to call security right now. It wasn't stalking, Emily said, her voice growing stronger. I never got too close, never tried to speak to him. I just wanted to see if he was happy. The baby cried even louder, and Emily began pacing the room, trying to soothe her. Where's Mrs. Jenkins with that milk? She murmured, visibly distressed. Richard watched the scene, and an old memory surfaced. Emily had always been like this with little children. When they were young, she took care of the neighborhood babies as if they were her own siblings. Emily, Where are you staying? She hesitated. I've been staying in a few places, with acquaintances. What kind of places? Richard, it doesn't matter where she's staying, Catherine interrupted. What matters is that she leaves our house now. It actually does matter, he replied, not taking his eyes off Emily. Where are you staying, Emmy? The childhood nickname seemed to break a barrier in Emily. Her eyes filled with tears. I've been sleeping at the shelter when there's space. When there isn't, we stay on the street. On the street? Richard's stomach twisted. With the baby? I do what I can to protect her. There's a square near downtown that's safer, and there's a gas station where they let us use the bathroom sometimes. Catherine put a hand to her forehead, clearly exasperated. Richard, this is very sad, but it's not our problem. There are institutions to help people in this situation. I tried the institutions, Emily said quietly, but they want to take Lily away from me. They say I can't take care of her. That's why I left. Mrs. Jenkins returned at that moment, carrying a pharmacy bag. I got the milk, Miss Emily. The pharmacist said this is the best one for babies with allergies. Thank you. Emily took the can with trembling hands. Thank you so much. She quickly prepared the bottle with precise movements, like someone who had done it hundreds of times. The baby stopped crying as soon as she tasted the milk and began drinking eagerly. There, my love, Emily whispered to her daughter. Everything's going to be okay now. Richard watched the scene, feeling something shift in his chest. The way Emily cared for her daughter, with so much love and dedication despite such difficult circumstances, reminded him of the mother he had lost when he was 15. Emily, how long have you been in this situation? Since Lily was born. I lost my job when I was pregnant because I was so sick and missed too many days. After she was born, it got even harder to work because she kept getting sick from her allergies. And you don't have any other family? Emily shook her head sadly. I tried reaching out to some distant cousins, but no one wanted anything to do with me. The fight between our parents split the whole family. It seems everyone picked a side, and I ended up on the wrong one. Catherine sighed impatiently. Richard, this is taking too long. I have the club's charity dinner at 8. You go ahead, he replied without looking at his wife. I'll stay here. What do you mean you'll stay here? Richard, you're being ridiculous. This woman is a stranger. She's not a stranger, Catherine. She's my cousin. A cousin you haven't seen in 20 years, who shows up out of nowhere asking for help. Don't you find that suspicious? Emily finished feeding Lily her bottle and kissed her gently. Mrs. Catherine is right, she said softly. I shouldn't have come here. It was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake, Richard said firmly. You did the right thing by coming. Catherine glared at him, her eyes blazing. Richard Thompson, we need to talk now. Later, Catherine. No, now! She grabbed her husband by the arm and dragged him into the hallway. Emily stayed in the living room with Mrs. Jenkins, who discreetly busied herself with tidying up to give the couple privacy. Richard, have you lost your mind? Catherine whispered furiously. You don't know this woman. She could be a scammer, a liar. Catherine, I remember her. I remember everything she said. Memories can be faked, invented. Anyone could dig up details about your childhood. No one knew about that scar, about the hiding spot. Richard, Catherine cut him off, you're being manipulated. This woman is playing with your emotions. He looked at his wife. Catherine was a good woman, but she'd grown up in a world where generosity was always suspect, where helping others was seen as naivety. What if she's telling the truth? What if she's lying? Richard, we have a life, a reputation, a future. You can't risk all that for a stranger. She's not a stranger. Yes, she is. She's a stranger you haven't seen in 20 years. People change, Richard. Even if she really is your cousin, that doesn't mean you should trust her. Richard knew Catherine had valid points, but something inside him refused to turn his back on Emily again. I need time to think. Time? Richard, the solution is simple. Give her some money and send her on her way. If you want, you can even help her find a better shelter. But she can't stay here. Why not? Because she just can't. Because this is our home, our private life. Because we don't know this woman, we don't know what she's capable of. They returned to the living room, where Emily was speaking quietly with Mrs. Jenkins while Lily slept in her arms. "Made a decision?" Catherine asked sarcastically. "Emily," Richard stepped closer, "you can stay here tonight. Tomorrow we'll talk things over calmly and figure out what to do." "Richard!" Catherine protested. "No, Dr. Richard." Emily stood up. "Your wife is right. I can't stay here. It's not proper. Where will you sleep tonight? We'll manage, we always do. With a 4-month-old baby on the streets?" Emily lowered her eyes, clearly uncomfortable. "Lily's used to it. She's a strong baby." Richard looked at the sleeping child. She was small, fragile, needing special care because of her allergies. The thought of her spending the night outside made him physically sick. "Stay here tonight," he repeated. "At least for tonight." Catherine threw her hands up. "Fine. Do whatever you want, Richard, but I won't be part of this madness." She stormed out of the room, and they heard the bedroom door slam upstairs. Mrs. Jenkins cleared her throat uncomfortably. "Dr. Richard, if the young lady is staying, I can prepare the guest room." "Thank you, Mrs. Jenkins. And please prepare some light soup for Emily, too. It seems like she hasn't eaten in days." "Of course, Doctor." When they were alone, Emily and Richard exchanged glances. "Rich, I don't want to cause problems in your marriage. It's not your fault, Emmy. Catherine she just needs time to understand the situation. She's right, you know. You don't know me anymore. I've changed a lot over the years." Richard studied Emily's face. There were lines of exhaustion and worry that hadn't been there when she was a child, but her eyes were still the same, kind, honest, a little sad. Everyone changes, but some fundamental things stay the same. Emily smiled sadly. "You've always been too optimistic, Rich. And you've always been too brave. I remember when you stood up to those older boys who were bullying me at school. You remember that?" "I remember a lot of things, Emmy. I remember you always shared everything with me, even when you had almost nothing." Emily's eyes filled with tears. "I missed you so much after we left. I asked Dad 1,000 times if we could come back to see you, but he always said it wasn't possible." "What exactly happened between our parents?" Emily sighed and adjusted Lily in her arms. "Grandpa George left that big house as an inheritance. Your father thought he should keep everything because he was the oldest. My father thought it should be split 50-50. The argument got worse and worse until they stopped speaking completely. I never knew the details. My father just said yours was proud and greedy. And mine said the same about yours." Emily laughed without humor. "Funny how people see the same situation so differently." Mrs. Jenkins appeared at the door. "The soup is ready, Mrs. Emily, and the room is prepared too." "Thank you, Mrs. Jenkins, you're very kind." "Oh, think nothing of it. A little child deserves all the care in the world." Emily ate the soup in silence, clearly starving but trying to keep her composure. Richard watched as she ate slowly, savoring every spoonful as if it were her first meal in days. "Emily, when was the last time you ate properly?" "Yesterday. I managed to get a sandwich," she replied without looking up. "And the day before, a lady at a bakery gave me some bread that was about to expire." Richard's stomach twisted. While he dined at expensive restaurants every day, his cousin was surviving on scraps. "Why didn't you come to me sooner? You knew where I worked. How could I just show up at your office, a dirty woman with a crying baby, asking to speak to the company president? Rich, you must have secretaries, security guards, all kinds of people to protect you from someone like me." The truth of those words hit Richard like a punch. It was true. He had built a wall of protection around himself, and people like Emily could never cross it. "Did you try?" "A few times I stood across the street, just looking at the building. Once I even got close to the entrance, but the security guard looked at me in a way that made me feel unwelcome." "Emily, it's not your fault, Rich. Life took you one way and took me another. They're different worlds." "They don't have to be." She looked at him in surprise. "What do you mean?" "Nothing has to be permanent. Situations can change. You make it sound so easy." "It's not easy, but it's possible." Lily began to stir in Emily's arms, making little baby noises. "I think someone's waking up," Emily smiled, and for the first time since she arrived, she seemed genuinely happy. Can I hold her? Emily hesitated for a moment, but then handed her daughter to Richard. Lily was surprisingly light, and her big blue eyes stared at him with curiosity. She's beautiful, Emmy, just like you when you were little. You think so? I'm sure of it. Same eyes, same little nose. Lily grabbed Richard's finger with her tiny hand, and he felt something melt in his chest. For years, he and Catherine had tried to have children without success. Holding that small, vulnerable being stirred emotions he'd tried to suppress. She likes you, Emily observed. Usually she gets nervous around strangers. Maybe she knows we're family, Richard murmured, making funny faces to make Lily smile. Just then, Catherine came downstairs. She had changed clothes and was clearly getting ready to go out. Richard, I'm going to the charity dinner. I'll be back late. Catherine, you don't have to go. Stay here. Get to know Emily better. No, thank you. I'd rather go out. She picked up her purse and headed for the door, but stopped halfway. Richard, are you sure about what you're doing? I am. Then fine. But I want you to know, I don't agree with any of this. After Catherine left, the house grew quieter. Mrs. Jenkins had retired to her quarters, and Emily was giving Lily a bath in the kitchen, using the sink very carefully. Need any help? Richard offered. Thank you, but I've got it. Lily's small, but she already has her preferences about baths. Richard watched as Emily cared for her daughter with gentle, practiced movements. She softly sang a song he recognized from childhood, one their Grandma Betty used to sing. You still remember Grandma Betty's song? Of course, it's Lily's favorite, always calms her down. Can I ask you a personal question? Sure. Lily's father, does he know she exists? Emily stopped singing, and her shoulders tensed. He does. I told him when I found out I was pregnant. What did he say? He said he was happy that we were going to be a beautiful family. Her voice turned bitter. 2 days later, he disappeared. Took what little money we had and vanished. Emily, I'm so sorry. I was so naive, Rich. I believed in promises, in dreams. Thought I'd finally found someone who'd give me a real family. You deserved that, you always did. She finished bathing Lily and wrapped her in a towel. I don't think life's about deserving or not deserving. It's about accepting what comes and making the best of it. You can't give up on dreaming, Emmy. Dreams are a luxury, Rich. When you're worried about putting the next meal on the table for your daughter, there's not much time left for dreaming. They went up to the guest room, which Mrs. Jenkins had prepared with care. There were clean towels, fresh linens, and even some toys Catherine kept for when her nieces and nephews visited. Rich, all of this is too beautiful. I feel like I'm dreaming. It's not a dream, it's real. For how long? The question caught him off guard. What do you mean? How long is this real? Until tomorrow? Until your wife gets too angry? Until you realize I'm really just a stranger who showed up in your life? Richard didn't know how to answer. It was a fair question and he didn't have one. I don't know, Emmy. I just know that tonight you and Lily are safe and warm. Sometimes that's all we can promise. One day at a time. Emily laid Lily in the makeshift crib Mrs. Jenkins had made with pillows and blankets. The baby yawned and closed her little eyes, clearly exhausted. She sleeps better when there's no noise from cars or people shouting, Emily murmured, stroking her daughter's fine hair. What's it like, sleeping on the streets with a baby? Emily sat on the edge of the bed and sighed. It's terrifying. You never fully relax. You're always listening, always ready to run if something goes wrong. And you're constantly worried. Is she cold? Is she safe? Am I being a good mother? You're a good mother, Emily. That's obvious. Sometimes I wonder if she wouldn't be better off without me. If I should let her be adopted by a family that could give her everything she deserves. Don't think like that. Never think like that. Why not? Look at me, Rich. Look where I've brought my daughter. What kind of future can I offer her? Richard sat beside Emily on the bed. The kind of future only a loving mother can give. Love can't be bought, Emmy. And it's clear you love that girl more than life itself. Emily began to cry silently. I'm so scared, Rich. I'm afraid I won't be able to take care of her properly. I'm afraid she'll grow up and be ashamed of me. I'm afraid I'm not strong enough. You're the strongest person I know. How can you say that? Look at me, I've lost everything. You haven't lost everything. You have Lily, and you didn't give up. Even when everything went wrong, you kept fighting. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing, Emily wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. You know what's worse? I had a good life before Lily was born. I wasn't rich, but I had a job, a small apartment, a few friends. I was studying business at night, dreaming of having my own company someday. What happened? When I got pregnant, I started feeling sick all the time. I missed work a lot. My boss lost patience and fired me. Without a job, I couldn't pay rent. Without a fixed address, I couldn't get another job. It was like a snowball effect. And Lily's father didn't help you at all. At first, he helped a little, paid some bills, bought groceries. But when I told him I was pregnant, everything changed. He said he wasn't ready to be a father, that we were too young, that it would ruin his life. What kind of man abandons a pregnant woman? The kind who only thinks of himself, Emily answered bitterly. But it was my fault too. I should have realized what kind of person he was. It wasn't your fault, Emmy. You trusted someone. That's not a mistake. No? Then why do I feel so stupid? Because you're hurt. But that doesn't mean trusting was wrong. It means you chose the wrong person to trust. Lily made a small noise in the crib, and Emily immediately got up to check on her. She's fine, she whispered. Just dreaming. What do you think babies dream about? Hopefully good things. Warm milk, loving arms, soft voices, things that make them feel safe. Richard watched Emily tending to Lily and felt a pang of regret. He'd wasted so many years not knowing about this cousin who clearly needed help. How many nights had she spent on the streets? How many times had she felt fear, hunger, despair? Emily, you said you tried reaching out to other relatives. Who did you contact? I tried Uncle Mark, my father's brother, but he said he couldn't get involved in family drama. Aunt Rose, Mum's sister, lives in Pennsylvania. I sent her a letter, but she never replied. What about cousins? Most don't even remember me, or pretend they don't. The fight between our parents affected everyone. It's like I'm tainted or something. That's ridiculous. It's reality, Rich. When you're down, people prefer to pretend you don't exist. It's easier than helping. Richard felt a surge of anger. How had the family let Emily reach this point? How had he himself allowed it? Emily, I want you to know I had no idea about any of this. If I'd known you were struggling, what would you have done? The question left him speechless. He liked to think he would have helped, but the truth was, he'd been so wrapped up in his own life that he probably wouldn't have done anything. I hope I would have done the right thing. And what would the right thing be? Helping you, supporting you, not letting you go through this alone. Emily smiled sadly. Rich, you have a life, a wife, a business, responsibilities. You can't just drop everything to take care of a cousin who showed up out of nowhere. Why not? Because that's not how things work. Says who? Emily looked at him as if he were speaking another language. Rich, you're being very kind, but we both know this is temporary. Tomorrow or the next day, you'll have to go back to your normal life, and I'll have to go back to mine. What if we change that? How? Richard didn't have a ready answer. It was the first time he'd seriously considered helping Emily permanently, and he didn't even know where to start. I don't know yet, but there has to be a way. Rich, you're such an optimist, but the real world isn't that simple. Maybe the problem is we accept the world as complicated when it should be simple. They talked late into the night, reminiscing about their childhood, sharing lost and rediscovered dreams and the different paths their lives had taken. When Richard finally went to his room, Catherine still hadn't returned. He lay on the empty bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything that had happened that day. In just a few hours, his life had been turned upside down by the reappearance of a cousin he thought was lost forever. More than that, he was being forced to confront questions about the kind of person he'd become. Was he still the boy who'd promised to always protect Emily? Or had he turned into someone who turned his back on those in need? Catherine came home around 2 in the morning. Richard heard her slowly climbing the stairs, trying not to make noise. She entered the room and undressed in the dark. "How was dinner?" he asked softly. "You weren't asleep?" "Couldn't sleep." Catherine lay on the bed, keeping her distance. "Dinner went well. We raised a lot of money for the cause." "What cause?" "Underprivileged children." The irony, right? They were silent for a few minutes. "Catherine, are you very angry with me?" "I'm not angry, Richard. I'm confused and worried." "Worried about what?" "About you. About us. About what might happen." "Nothing will happen to us." "How can you be sure, Richard? You brought a stranger into our home, a stranger with problems, a child, a sad story. Don't you see how this could complicate our lives?" "She's not a stranger, Catherine. She's my cousin. A cousin you hadn't seen in 20 years. A cousin who showed up right when she's in financial trouble. Don't you find that suspicious?" Richard turned to look at his wife in the dark. "You think she's lying?" "I think she might be exaggerating, or leaving out important details." "Richard, you're a wealthy man. Plenty of people would make up any story to take advantage of you. What if she's telling the truth? What if she isn't?" It was a question Richard couldn't answer. He wanted to believe Emily. Wanted to believe the world still had enough goodness that people wouldn't invent stories about sick babies just for money. But Catherine had a point. He truly didn't know the woman Emily had become. "Tomorrow I'll look into her story," he decided. "I'll verify everything she told me." "How?" "I'll hire a private investigator. If she's lying, I'll find out. And if she's telling the truth, then I'll help her." Catherine sighed. "Richard, even if she's telling the truth, you can't save everyone, and by trying to do that, you might end up destroying what we've built together." "What do you mean? Don't you see? If you start helping Emily, other people will show up. Other distant relatives, other acquaintances with sad stories. Our home will turn into a charity center." "Catherine, that's an exaggeration." "Is it? Richard, you're too good of a person. It's one of the qualities I admire most about you, but it's also one of your biggest flaws. You don't know how to say no to people who need help." "And that's a bad thing?" "It is when it jeopardizes our future, our security, our privacy." They fell silent again. Richard understood Catherine's concerns, but he couldn't just ignore Emily's situation. "Catherine, have you ever imagined what it would be like to lose everything? To be left without a home, without food, without hope?" "No. And I hope I never have to." "Me neither. But Emily didn't have a choice. She's living that reality every day." "Richard, I know it's sad, but there are institutions to help people in her situation. You don't have to take this responsibility on alone. She said she tried the institutions. They wanted to take her daughter away. Maybe that would have been best for the child." Richard sat up in bed, shocked. "How can you say that?" "Richard, be realistic. A woman with no home, no job, no money. What kind of life can she offer a child? The kind of life a loving mother can give. Love doesn't pay the bills, Richard. Love doesn't put food on the table or medicine in the cabinet. But it's the foundation of everything. Without love, nothing else matters." Catherine turned to him in bed. "You're idealizing the situation. You're seeing what you want to see, not what's really happening." "What do you think is happening?" "I think a desperate woman found a wealthy cousin and is doing everything she can to play on his sympathy." "Using her own daughter?" "Richard, you'd be surprised what people are capable of when they're desperate." The conversation was starting to frustrate Richard. Catherine was being too cynical, too distrustful. "Catherine, have you considered the possibility that you might be wrong? Have you considered the possibility that you're being fooled?" "Yes. And even so, I'd rather risk being fooled than risk abandoning someone who truly needs help." "Even if it costs us our marriage?" The question struck him like lightning. "Are you saying you'll leave me if I help Emily?" "I'm saying I don't know if I can live with a man who makes big decisions without consulting me. A man who brings strangers into our home without thinking of the consequences. Catherine, Richard, I love you. But I also love our life, our stability, our privacy. I don't want that to change. Sometimes things need to change. Why? We're happy. We have everything we need. Why complicate it? Because happiness that ignores the suffering of others isn't real happiness. Catherine got out of bed abruptly. Richard, you're being unfair to me. I don't ignore others' suffering. I volunteer with charities, I donate to important causes, but always from a distance, always protecting yourself from real involvement. And what's wrong with that? Why do I have to get personally involved with every person who's struggling? Because sometimes personal involvement is the only thing that can truly change someone's life. Catherine went into the bathroom and slammed the door. Richard stayed alone in bed, wondering if he was doing the right thing or if he was being manipulated by his own emotions. The next morning, he woke up early and went downstairs for coffee. Emily was in the kitchen with Mrs. Jenkins, helping prepare Lily's bottle. "Good morning, Rich. I hope you slept well." "I did, thank you. And you?" "Lily slept through the night. I think she felt safe here." Mrs. Jenkins served coffee to Richard and discreetly stepped away to give the cousins some privacy. "Emily, I need to ask you a few questions. It's not that I doubt you, but your wife wants you to confirm my story." Emily finished his sentence. "I understand. If I were in her place, I'd also want to know more about the woman who showed up at my house. Can you give me some details? Names, dates, places?" "Of course. I was born at St. Catherine's Hospital in 1995. My parents were Robert Wilson and Mary Elizabeth Wilson. They got married in 1993 at Sacred Heart Church. Should I go on?" Richard jotted down the information on a piece of paper. "Where did you live when you were kids?" 234 Blossom Street. The house had a jaboticaba tree in the backyard and a dog named Rex. You were scared of him at first, remember?" Richard did remember. Rex was a huge German shepherd who barked at everything but was gentle as a lamb deep down. "What about Lily's father?" Emily hesitated. "His name is Jason Miller. We met at the technical course I was taking. He worked at a mechanic shop on the south side. Do you have his address?" "I have the last one I knew, but I'm not sure if he still lives there." "What about your job? Where did you work?" "I was a receptionist at Dr. Harrison Clinic on Fifth Avenue. I worked there for 2 years before being let go." Richard kept asking questions, and Emily answered each one with consistent details. Either she was telling the truth, or she was a very skilled liar. Catherine came down for breakfast and greeted Emily coldly. The tension in the air was palpable. "Richard, are you going to work today?" Catherine asked. "Yes, but I'll leave early again." "To do what?" "To confirm some information." Catherine looked at Emily with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "That's good. It's always important to verify the stories we hear, isn't it?" "I completely agree," Emily replied calmly. "If I were in your place, I'd do the same." Emily's response seemed to disarm Catherine a little. She clearly hadn't expected the woman to agree with the investigation. Lily started crying, and Emily immediately tended to her. "She has colic," she explained to Richard. "It's normal for babies her age, but her allergy makes it worse. Wouldn't it be better to take her to a doctor?" "It would, but private doctors are expensive, and the wait at the clinic is so long. Sometimes you wait for hours with a crying child, only for them to tell you to massage her tummy." Catherine watched Emily caring for Lily, and something in her expression shifted. It was hard to stay hostile in the face of a mother clearly worried about her child's well-being. "Richard," Catherine said quietly, "if you want, you can take her to Dr. Williams today. He's a pediatrician with a private practice." Richard looked at his wife, surprised. "Are you sure?" "I am. If the child is sick, she needs proper medical care." Emily looked at Catherine with gratitude. "Thank you so much, Mrs. Catherine. I don't know how to repay you." "No need to thank me. It's the least we can do." Richard left for work, feeling a little more optimistic. Maybe Catherine was starting to see that Emily wasn't a threat, just someone who needed help. At the office, he called a private investigator he'd used for corporate matters before. "Brian, I need you to check some information about a person." "Of course, Dr. Richard. What's this about?" "It's personal. A cousin who reappeared in my life after many years. I want to confirm if the details she gave me are true. I understand. Send the data by email and within 48 hours I'll have a complete report. Richard sent all the information Emily had provided and tried to focus on his work. But it was hard to concentrate on spreadsheets and reports when his mind was torn between the situation at home and the implications of what he was doing. During lunch, he got a call from Catherine. "Richard, I took Emily and Lily to see Dr. Williams." "What did he say?" "The child is fine, considering the circumstances. She's a little underweight and does have a severe allergy to milk protein. The doctor prescribed some vitamins and a special formula that's even better than what we were giving her." "And how did Emily react?" "She cried when the doctor said Lily would be okay." "Richard, a mother doesn't cry in relief over a performance." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I'm starting to believe she might be telling the truth. Her love for her daughter is too real to be fake." Richard felt a weight lift off his shoulders. "Catherine, this means..." "It doesn't mean anything yet. It just means I'm willing to keep an open mind until you finish your investigation." "Thank you, Catherine. That means a lot to me." "Richard, just promise me one thing." "What?" "Promise you'll think carefully before making any permanent decisions. Our lives will change forever if you decide to really help her." "I promise." Richard spent the rest of the day trying to work, but constantly checking his phone to see if the investigator had any preliminary information. At 5 in the afternoon, he got a call from Brian. "Dr. Richard, I already have some basic information." "What did you find?" "The woman exists. Emily Wilson Thompson, born in 1995 at St. Catherine's Hospital, daughter of Robert Wilson and Mary Elizabeth Wilson, both deceased. She did work at Dr. Harrison Clinic until last year." "And the rest?" "It confirms everything she said. The house on Blossom Street, her parents' marriage, the relatives. Doctor, from what I could gather quickly, her story is true." "What about her current situation?" "That will take a little longer to investigate, but I can tell you she did register at a few shelters in recent months." Richard felt both relieved and guilty. Relieved because Emily was telling the truth, guilty for ever doubting her. When he got home, he was surprised by the scene he found. Catherine was in the living room, teaching Emily how to crochet while Lily slept in a baby stroller he didn't recognize. "Where did that stroller come from?" "I bought it," Catherine answered without looking up. "Lily needed a proper place to sleep during the day." "Catherine, and I also bought some clothes. The ones she was wearing were too small." Richard looked at Emily, who seemed to be fighting back tears. "Mrs. Catherine, I don't know how to thank you for such kindness. Like I said, it's the least we can do." Richard sat down beside the two women. "Emily, the investigator confirmed your story. You were telling the truth about everything. You doubted me. I needed to be sure. I understand. If I were in your place, I'd do the same." Catherine stopped crocheting and looked at her husband. "Richard, now that we know she's telling the truth, we need to talk about what we're going to do. What do you think we should do?" "I think," Catherine said slowly, "we need to help Emily get back on her feet, but in an organized, planned way." "How so?" "First, she needs a safe place to live with Lily. Second, she needs a job to support herself. Third, she needs to finish her studies for better opportunities." Emily looked at Catherine in surprise. "Mrs. Catherine, that's so generous, but nothing." "Catherine is right," Richard interrupted. "We need to do this right. It's no use just handing over money and expecting the problems to solve themselves." "But I can't accept so much help." "Of course you can," Catherine said firmly. "Emily, you're Richard's family, and family takes care of family." Emily began to cry silently. "You don't know what this means to me. It's been so long since I felt like I had a family." "You've always had family," Richard said. "I was the fool for not looking for you sooner." Catherine stood up and walked to the window. "Richard, I have a proposal." "What?" "How about we buy that small apartment on Lexington Avenue, the one that was for sale a few months ago?" "For Emily?" "For Emily. It wouldn't be a gift, it would be a loan. She'd pay it back once she got back on her feet." Emily looked at Catherine as if she were an angel. "Mrs. Catherine, I don't have the words." "You don't need words. You need determination to rebuild your life. I have determination. I always have. I just didn't have the opportunity. Now you do, Richard said. But Catherine is right. This needs to be done properly. You'll have to commit to studying, working, becoming independent. I commit to all of it. I swear. Lily woke up and started crying. Emily went to pick up her daughter from the stroller, but Catherine beat her to it. Let me get her. I've missed taking care of a baby. Richard watched his wife holding Lily gently and lovingly. Catherine had always wanted children, and seeing her care for Lily brought out the maternal instinct she'd kept hidden. Catherine, are you sure you want to do this? I am. Richard, when I saw Emily at Dr. Williams' office today, when I saw her desperation asking if her daughter was okay, I understood this isn't about money or charity. It's about humanity. What if she disappoints us? What if she doesn't? Catherine countered. Richard, there are risks in everything in life, but some risks are worth taking. That night, the three adults stayed up late, planning Emily and Lily's future. They decided Emily would stay at their house for a few more days until they could sort out the apartment paperwork. Catherine called the real estate agency and made an offer for the apartment on Lexington Avenue. It was small but had 2 bedrooms, an open kitchen, and a laundry area where Emily could hang Lily's clothes. The apartment is simple, but it's safe and well located, Catherine explained. There's a good public school nearby, a health clinic, and plenty of public transportation options. It's perfect, Emily said, still unable to believe this was happening. It's more than I ever dreamed of. What about work? Richard asked. I was thinking about that, Catherine replied. Emily, you said you have receptionist experience, right? Yes, I worked 2 years at the clinic. And you were studying business administration? I was. I stopped when I lost my job. Richard, doesn't the company need a receptionist for the administrative department? Richard thought for a moment. Actually, yes, Mrs. Wilson is retiring at the end of the month. We were thinking of hiring someone new. It would be perfect, Catherine said excitedly. Emily could work part-time while studying, and after graduating she could be promoted. Emily looked at her 2 cousins as if they were offering her the moon. You'd really do all this for me? We will, Richard said, but on one condition. What? That you promise never to disappear from our lives again. No matter what happens, you'll talk to us, ask for help if you need it, stay in touch. I promise, Emily said, her voice full of emotion. I promise I'll never disappear again. Lily chose that moment to make a cute little noise, as if agreeing with her mother. The 3 adults laughed, and for the first time in years, Richard felt his family was truly complete. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. A week later, Emily and Lily moved into the apartment on Lexington Avenue. It was a sunny Saturday, and Richard and Catherine helped with the move. There wasn't much to carry, just some clothes Catherine had bought, Lily's medications, and a small stuffed bear, the only toy Emily had managed to keep during the hard months. It's strange to have an address again, Emily confessed as she put Lily's clothes in the small bedroom closet. It's been so long since I held a key in my hand. How do you feel? Catherine asked, helping organize the kitchen. Scared, hopeful, grateful. All at the same time. Richard was assembling the new crib they had bought for Lily. It was simple but safe and comfortable. Emily, you start work on Monday. Are you nervous? Very. It's been so long since I worked in an office. What if I can't keep up? What if I've forgotten how to deal with clients? You'll do just fine, Catherine said confidently. I've seen how you interact with people. You're polite, attentive, responsible. Those are the most important qualities for a receptionist. But what about Lily? I can't leave her alone. We've already talked about this, Richard reminded her. There's a public daycare 2 blocks from here. You've already registered her. What if she gets sick? What if her allergies get worse? Emily, Catherine sat beside her on the small couch. You can't live in fear of everything that might go wrong. You have to live hoping things will go right. It's hard to be optimistic when you've spent so long watching everything fall apart. I understand, but things are different now. You're not alone anymore. Lily was sleeping in her stroller, looking perfectly at peace in her new home. Sunlight streamed through the window, lighting up her fine hair and chubby little face, which grew healthier by the day. "She's gaining weight," Richard observed. "The doctor said with proper nutrition and without the stress of living on the streets she'd thrive." Emily smiled, stroking her daughter's cheek. "Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night thinking this is all a dream." "It's not a dream. It's real. And you deserve this, Emmy." "I want to believe that." Catherine finished organizing the kitchen and joined them on the couch. "Emily, can I ask you something personal?" "Of course." "Do you still think about Lily's father?" Emily sighed. "Sometimes, but not with longing, more like anger. Anger that he threw away the chance to know an amazing daughter. Would you want him back?" "No, I wish he'd never left in the first place. But now, no. Lily and I are fine without him." "What about meeting someone else? New possibilities?" "Catherine, I'm not thinking about romance right now. I'm focused on building a stable life for my daughter. The rest can wait." "That's wise," Richard agreed. "First the foundations, then the extras." They spent the rest of the afternoon settling into the apartment. When they finished, Emily insisted on making a simple dinner to thank them for all their help. "It's nothing fancy," she said, serving spaghetti with tomato sauce and salad. "But it's made with love." "It's the first dinner in your new home," Catherine said solemnly. "That's very special." "It really is," Emily agreed, her eyes shining. "Cheers to new beginnings." They toasted with orange juice, and Lily chose that moment to wake up and flash a toothless grin that melted everyone's hearts. "I think she approves of the new place," Richard laughed. "She'd approve of any place where she feels loved," Emily replied, picking up her daughter. When Richard and Catherine left, Emily found herself alone in her apartment for the first time. It was a strange feeling, good, but scary. There was so much silence after months of hearing street noises, voices of others in similar situations, sirens, cars. She gave Lily a bath, softly singing Grandma Betty's song. The little one seemed to understand this was a special moment because she stayed very calm and attentive. "Lily, my princess," Emily murmured as she dried her, "Mommy's going to make everything work out now. We'll have a good life, you'll go to school, grow up strong and healthy." Lily grabbed her mother's finger as she always did, and Emily felt a wave of determination and hope. That night, she laid Lily in the new crib and watched her sleep. For the first time in months, she wasn't worried about where they'd sleep the next night, where their next meal would come from, or if she was doing the right thing. She opened the bedroom window and looked out at the street. It was a busy street, with shops, people walking, life happening. It wasn't the fanciest neighborhood in New York City, but it was a place where she and Lily could start over. "Thank you," she whispered to no one in particular. "Thank you for giving me a second chance." On Monday morning, Emily dressed carefully for her first day of work. Catherine had bought her proper office clothes, and she looked at herself in the mirror with a mix of nerves and determination. Lily was still asleep when Emily took her to daycare. It was hard leaving her daughter for the first time after months of never being apart, but she knew it was necessary. "She'll be just fine," the daycare director, a gray-haired woman named Mrs. Thompson, reassured her. "We have experience with babies who have allergies. I've already noted all the instructions for her special milk. But if she cries too much, Mum, relax. The first week is always tough, but kids adapt quickly, and you're only 15 minutes away. If there's any emergency, we'll call." Emily kissed Lily's forehead and left the daycare with a heavy heart. But when she arrived at Richard's office, she felt a surge of pride. It had been so long since she'd felt productive, useful, capable. Emily, Mrs. Wilson, the receptionist who was retiring, greeted her with a warm smile. "Dr. Richard told me you'd be taking my place. How wonderful. I hope I can do a good job." "I'm sure you will. Come, I'll show you how things work here." Mrs. Wilson spent the morning teaching Emily about the phone system, the computer, and the company's procedures. It was a lot of information, but Emily absorbed it all easily. "You're a quick learner," Mrs. Wilson observed. "In a week, you'll have it all down." I hope so. I really need this to work out. It will. Dr. Richard is a great boss and the company is solid. Just work hard and always be polite to the clients. At lunch, Richard stopped by the reception desk to see how Emily was adjusting. How's your first day going? It's great. Mrs. Wilson is very patient and teaching me everything. And Lily? How was dropping her off at daycare? Hard, Emily admitted, but necessary. I called a little while ago and she's doing fine. It'll get easier with time. Rich, I just want you to know how grateful I am for all of this. I know you didn't have to help me. Emily, family always has to help family. That's what our grandmother taught us, remember? I remember. Grandma Betty always said family is all we truly have in this world. And she was right. The afternoon flew by. Emily answered phones, greeted visitors, and organized documents. It was simple work, but she did everything with care and attention. At the end of the day, she rushed to pick up Lily from daycare. How did she behave? She asked Mrs. Thompson anxiously. Better than I expected for the first day. She cried a little in the morning, but then calmed down. She played with the other babies, ate well, and napped peacefully. Emily felt a weight lift off her shoulders. Maybe it really was possible to balance work and motherhood. On the way home, she stopped at the supermarket to buy ingredients for dinner. It was the first time in months she had shopped with her own money, and the feeling was indescribable. Lily, my princess, she said to her daughter as they walked. Mommy worked today. Mommy earned honest money, bought food with her own sweat. We're making it, my love. At home, she prepared a simple but tasty dinner, gave Lily a bath, and then sat down to study. Catherine had managed to borrow the books from the business administration course Emily had dropped. Studying after a full day of work was hard, especially with a small baby, but Emily was determined. With every page she read, she felt she was building a better future for herself and Lily. Around 10 at night, the phone rang. It was Catherine. How was your first day? It was great. Tiring, but great. And Lily? She adjusted better than I imagined. I think she sensed Mommy was more at ease. Emily, I want you to know I'm very proud of you. Thank you, Catherine, for everything. No need to thank me. Just keep going, working hard and taking good care of Lily. I will. I promise. When Emily finally went to bed, Lily was already fast asleep in her crib. She spent a few minutes watching her daughter, thinking about how their lives had changed in just a few weeks. 2 months later, Emily had fully settled into her work routine. She had become a beloved employee at Richard's company, always efficient and friendly with everyone. Lily was growing healthy and strong. The allergy was still there, but with proper care and the right diet, she was developing normally. Emily had resumed her evening studies and was doing well on her exams. It was a constant rush, work, daycare, home, studying, but she was happy. One day, during her lunch break, she got an unexpected call. Hello, Emily. It's Jason. Emily nearly dropped the phone. Jason, Lily's father. The man who had disappeared when he found out about the pregnancy. Jason? How did you get my number? I've been looking for you. I wanted to know about the child. Now you want to know? After a year? Emily, I know I messed up. I know I was a coward, but I've changed. I'm working, I'm more mature. Jason, do you have any idea what I went through? What your daughter went through? My daughter? It's a girl. The question infuriated Emily. He didn't even know the gender of his own child. It's a girl. Her name is Lily, and she's a year old. Emily, I want to meet her. I want to be a father. You want to be a father? Jason, where were you when she was born premature? Where were you when we found out she had a severe allergy? Where were you when we slept on the street? On the street? Emily, you lived on the street. Yes, Jason. Your daughter spent the first months of her life sleeping on the street because her father abandoned her. Jason was silent for a long moment. Emily, I'm so sorry. I didn't know things had gotten that bad. You didn't know because you didn't want to know. You ran from responsibility. I know. But now I want to step up. I want to help with child support. I want to visit her. Jason, it doesn't work like that. You can't just show up after a year and decide to be a father. But she's my daughter too. Biologically, yes, but a father is someone who cares, who's present, who takes responsibility. You were none of that. Emily, give me a chance. I've changed. Changed how? I got a steady job, stopped drinking. I'm living in a small house, but it's mine. And why this big change? Because I finally understood that having a daughter is a responsibility, not a problem. Emily took a deep breath. Part of her wanted to hang up on Jason right then, but another part thought of Lily, who would one day ask about her father. Jason, I can't just let you waltz into Lily's life. You disappeared when we needed you most. I know, and I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make up for that. How? By starting slow. Maybe I could see her. Just see her. No contact. So I can meet my daughter. Emily hesitated. It was such a hard decision. Jason, I need to think and talk to some people. Emily, where are you living now? Are you okay? Do you need anything? I'm fine now, but not thanks to you. I know. Emily, I know I don't deserve forgiveness. But do I deserve a chance to meet my daughter? I'll think about it, Jason, but don't expect a quick answer. All right, Emily. Thank you for taking my call. Emily hung up with trembling hands. Jason's call had stirred up feelings she thought she'd buried. Anger, hurt, but also a tiny spark of hope that maybe Lily could have a father in her life. When Richard came back from lunch, he noticed she was upset. Did something happen, Emily? Jason called. Lily's father. Seriously? After all this time? He said he wants to meet his daughter, that he's changed. And do you believe him? I don't know. He sounded different, more mature. But how can I trust someone who left me pregnant? It's a really tough decision. Richard, what would you do in my place? Richard thought for a moment. I think I'd give him a chance, but very slowly, very carefully. Lily has the right to know her father, but you have the right to protect her. What if he disappoints her again? Then you protect Lily and move on. But what if he really has changed? What if he could be a good father? Emily sighed. I need to talk to Catherine about this. That night, Emily called Catherine and told her about Jason's call. What do you think I should do? Emily, as a mother, your instinct is to protect Lily. But as the daughter of an absent father, I know what it's like to grow up wondering about the parent you never knew. You grew up without a father? No, but I have friends who did. And they all spent their adult lives wondering what it would have been like to have their father around. But what if he hurts her? Then you don't let him get close enough to hurt her. Emily, you're a strong, smart mother. You can protect Lily and still give her the chance to know her father. How? First, you make him prove he's changed, not with words, but actions. Second, any contact with Lily happens under your supervision. Third, at the first red flag, you cut ties. Do you think it's worth the risk? I think it's worth trying, but only if you feel safe. Emily spent a week thinking it over. She watched Lily playing, laughing, being a happy and healthy child, and wondered if she had the right to keep her from knowing her father. Finally, she made her decision. She called Jason. Jason, I've thought about what you said. And I'll give you a chance to meet Lily, but with conditions. What conditions? First, you'll pay child support from the day she was born. Not because I need the money now, but because it's your responsibility. I agree. Second, any time with her will be supervised by me. You don't get to be alone with her until I trust you. I agree. Third, if you disappear again, if you let her down, if you cause my daughter any pain, I cut all contact forever, and you'll never see her again. I understand. I agree. And fourth, you're going to therapy. If you really want to be a father, you need to understand why you abandoned your daughter and make sure it never happens again. Jason hesitated for a moment. Okay, I'll go to therapy. Then we can schedule a first meeting in a public place with lots of people around. When? Next Saturday at the park, 2 in the afternoon. Emily, thank you. Thank you for giving me this chance. Jason, I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for Lily. She deserves every opportunity to be happy, including the chance to know her father. I understand, and I'll do things right this time. We'll see. On Saturday, Emily dressed carefully and put Lily in a pretty outfit. She was nervous but determined to do what she thought was best for her daughter. They arrived at the park a few minutes before 2. Emily chose a bench near the playground, where there were many families and children playing. At exactly 2 o'clock, Jason appeared. He looked different from how Emily remembered, thinner, hair cut short, wearing simple but clean clothes. He seemed nervous and ashamed. "Hi, Emily." "Hi, Jason." He looked at Lily, who was in Emily's arms, and his eyes filled with tears. She's beautiful." Lily stared at Jason with curiosity. She wasn't afraid of strangers, but she wasn't very social with people she didn't know. Can I come closer?" Emily hesitated, but then nodded. Jason moved slowly and knelt in front of Emily and Lily. "Hi, Lily. I'm your daddy." Lily looked at him for a long moment, then turned her attention to a little bird flying nearby. "She's very smart," Jason observed. "Yes, and very strong, and she's been through a lot for such a little girl." Jason lowered his head. "Emily, I know I have no right to ask for forgiveness, not after what I did to both of you, but I want you to know there hasn't been a single day I haven't regretted leaving." "Why did you leave, Jason?" "Because I was a coward. Because I was immature. Because when you told me you were pregnant, I panicked and could only think of running away." "And what changed?" "I grew up. It took time, but I grew up. And I realized having a daughter isn't a curse, it's a blessing." "What made you realize that?" Jason hesitated. "I met a guy at work who has a daughter Lily's age. He's always talking about her, showing pictures, telling funny stories about her. And I realized I was missing all of that with my own daughter." Lily started to squirm, and Emily set her down to explore the grass. "Lily, don't go too far," Emily said, keeping her eyes on her daughter. Jason watched how Emily cared for Lily with such attention and tenderness. "You're an amazing mother, Emily." "I had to learn to be. I didn't have a choice." "What was it like when she was born?" Emily told Jason about the premature birth, the first days in the hospital, the discovery of her allergy. She saw Jason grow paler as he listened to the details. "Emily, I'm so sorry. If I had known..." "If you had known what? Would you have stayed? Or would you have run even faster?" I don't know. I probably would have run. But now it's different." "How can I know it's different?" "Because I'm here. Because I looked for you. Because I'm asking for a chance to be a father, even knowing you have every right to hate me." Lily was trying to reach a flower and Jason instinctively stood to help her. "May I?" Emily nodded, and Jason picked Lily up. The little girl didn't protest, just studied him curiously. "She has your eyes," he told Emily. "But your nose. And she's healthy now?" "Yes, as long as we watch her diet and she takes her allergy medicine, she's a normal little girl." Jason played with Lily for a few minutes, making silly faces that made her laugh. It was clear he had no experience with children, but it was also clear he was trying. "Jason, if you really want to be part of Lily's life, you need to understand that being a father isn't just playing at the park on weekends." "I know. Being a father means waking up in the middle of the night when she's sick. It means changing dirty diapers. It means having patience when she's crying and you don't know why. It means giving up things you want to prioritize what she needs." "I understand, and I'm willing to learn all of that." "And what if she doesn't like you? What if she rejects you?" "Then I'll keep trying, until she accepts me, or until you decide it's better for me to give up." Emily watched Jason interacting with Lily. It was obvious he was nervous, but it was also obvious he was making a genuine effort. "Jason, how can I trust you after what happened?" "You can't, not yet. But if you give me time, I'll prove I've changed." "How much time?" "As much as you think is necessary." Lily started crying, signaling she was hungry. "She needs to nurse," Emily explained, taking her daughter back. "Of course, I understand." "Jason, this first meeting was better than I expected, but it's still just the beginning." "I know, Emily, can I see her again next week?" Emily thought for a moment. Yes, but still supervised. And I want proof you've enrolled in therapy. I already did. I start on Tuesday. And the child support? I'll deposit it on Monday. Emily, I know money doesn't make up for abandonment, but it's the least I can do. It really is the least. When they said goodbye, Emily felt confused. On one hand, she was happy to see Jason seem to have truly changed. On the other, she was afraid of letting Lily grow attached to him only to be abandoned again. That night she called Catherine to talk about the meeting. How did it go? Better than I expected, but I'm still scared. It's normal to be scared. You're protecting your daughter. Catherine, do you think I'm doing the right thing? I think you're doing the brave thing, and sometimes the brave thing and the right thing are the same. What if he disappoints us again? Then you'll deal with it if it happens. Emily, you can't live in fear of what might go wrong. You have to live hoping things will go right. I'm just afraid Lily will get attached to him and then suffer if he disappears again. It's a risk, but it's also a risk to deprive her of the chance to have a father present. Emily sighed. Being a mother is so complicated. You want to protect, but you also want to give opportunities. You want to keep them close, but you also want to let them explore. That's why you're a good mother, Emily, because you think about what's best for Lily, not what's easiest for you. In the following weeks, Jason began visiting Lily regularly. First, once a week, always supervised by Emily, always in public places. He kept every promise. He deposited child support every month, started therapy, and showed up on time for every scheduled visit. Lily gradually grew used to him. At first she was indifferent, then curious, and finally she began smiling when she saw him. She's getting attached to him, Emily observed to Catherine during one of their weekly phone calls. How do you feel about that? Happy and terrified at the same time. Do you believe he's really changed? I'm starting to. He's consistent, responsible, and he tries so hard to learn about childcare. But I'm still scared. I still wake up sometimes in the middle of the night, thinking about what I'll do if he disappears again. Emily, you can't control the future. You can only do your best in the present. I know, and right now, he's being a good father, or trying to be. 3 months after their first meeting, Jason made a request Emily hadn't expected. Emily, I wanted to know if I can be alone with Lily for a few hours. Alone? Jason, I don't know. I know it's a big step, but I think we've reached a point where you can trust me, at least a little. What do you want to do with her? Just spend a few hours together, maybe go to the park, feed her, change her diaper if needed. Normal father-daughter things. Emily thought for a long moment. Jason had proven himself trustworthy over the last few months. He was always punctual, always careful with Lily, always respectful of the rules Emily set. 2 hours, she decided. You can stay with her for 2 hours here in my apartment. If everything goes well, we can think about increasing the time. Really? Emily, thank you. Jason, if anything happens to her, nothing will happen. I promise I'll take care of her like she's the most precious thing in the world. She is the most precious thing in the world. I know, and I'll treat her that way. On the scheduled Saturday, Emily prepared to leave Jason alone with Lily for the first time. She left detailed instructions about feeding, schedules, and necessary care. If she cries too much, you call me, she repeated for the 3rd time. I will. Emily, relax. Everything will be fine. The milk is ready in the fridge. The spare diaper is in the bedroom. The medicine is in the bathroom cabinet. Emily, I wrote everything down. It'll be okay. Emily kissed Lily and left the apartment with a heavy heart. It was the first time in over a year that she'd been separated from her daughter for more than a few work hours. She decided to use the time to do some things she couldn't do with Lily around. She went to the salon to get her hair cut, got her nails done, bought new clothes. Simple things. But they made her feel like a woman again, not just a mother. 2 hours later, she returned to the apartment expecting to find Lily crying and Jason frantic. Instead, she found them both asleep on the couch, Lily nestled on Jason's chest. How was it? she asked softly when Jason woke up. "It was wonderful," he whispered back. "She's an angel, Emily. We played, she ate just fine, didn't cry once." "Really? Really?" "And when she got sleepy, I sang that song you taught me, and she fell asleep in my arms." Emily looked at Lily, sleeping peacefully in her father's arms, and felt something melt in her chest. Maybe, finally, Lily could have a complete family. "Jason, you did a good job." "Thank you. Emily, I love this little girl. I know I don't have the right to say that after everything I've done, but I love her. She's getting attached to you too. How do you feel about that? Happy and still a little scared, but more happy than scared? Emily, I want you to know I'll never leave the two of you again. No matter what happens, I'll be here. Jason, don't make promises you're not sure you can keep. I'm sure. Emily, losing you two once was the worst thing that ever happened to me. I won't make the same mistake twice." Lily stirred in Jason's arms and opened her little eyes. When she saw Emily, she smiled and reached out her tiny hands. "Hi, sweetheart," Emily said, taking her daughter. "Mommy missed you." Lily babbled something that sounded like Mama and Papa, making Jason grin from ear to ear. "Did she say Papa? Did you hear that?" "Maybe," Emily smiled. "Or it could have been anything. Babies make a lot of nonsense noises." "No, she said Papa. I'm sure of it." Emily laughed at Jason's excitement. For the first time since he'd reappeared, she let herself imagine what it would be like if they could become a real family. "Jason, do you want to stay for dinner?" "Can I?" "You can. It'll just be spaghetti with tomato sauce, nothing fancy." "Sounds perfect to me." During dinner, they talked about plans for the future. Jason shared that he had gotten a promotion at work and was thinking about moving to a bigger apartment. "Why a bigger apartment?" "So you can come visit. So Lily can have a room at her dad's place too." "Jason, you're moving way too fast." "I'm sorry. I just get excited when I think about all the things I can do with her, all the things I missed and don't want to miss anymore." "I understand, but we need to take it slow, one step at a time." "You're right." "Emily, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Have you ever thought about the possibility of us trying again? Not necessarily as a couple, but as a family?" The question caught Emily off guard. "What do you mean? I know I don't deserve a second chance as a boyfriend or husband, but maybe we could be friends, co-parents, people who respect each other and work together to give Lily the best." Emily considered the proposal. The idea of having Jason as a partner in raising Lily was tempting but also scary. "Jason, I don't know if I can trust you like that yet." "I understand, but can I at least try to earn that trust?" "You're already trying, and you're doing well." "Thank you, Emily. I know I broke your trust in a terrible way, but if you give me time, I'll prove I can be the man you and Lily deserve." "Jason, I don't want you to change for me. I want you to change for yourself and for Lily." "That's what I'm doing. Therapy is helping me understand why I ran away and how not to do it again." "And what have you learned?" "That I was afraid of not being good enough, afraid of disappointing you, so I disappointed you before you could disappoint me first." "That doesn't make much sense." "I know, that's why I'm in therapy, to learn how to handle my fears in a more mature way." Lily started getting sleepy, so Emily went to give her a bath and put her to bed. Jason watched from a distance, clearly wanting to help, but respecting the boundaries. "Do you want to say goodnight to her?" Emily offered. "Can I?" "Of course." Jason approached the crib and gently kissed Lily's forehead. "Good night, princess. Daddy loves you so much." Lily smiled sleepily and closed her little eyes. "She likes it when you talk to her," Emily observed. "And I like talking to her. Emily, thank you so much for giving me this chance. I know it wasn't easy. It wasn't. But it was the right thing to do." "How did you know it was the right thing?" "Because when I see Lily with you, she seems complete. Like a part of her that was missing has finally appeared." "Emily, I want you to know that even if we never get back together as a couple, I'll always respect you as the mother of my daughter. You're an amazing woman." "Thank you, Jason. And if someday you meet someone special, someone who wants to be Lily's stepfather, I'll support it, as long as they're good for her." The generosity of the statement surprised Emily. "You'd really do that?" I would, because what matters is Lily's happiness, and yours too. What about you? Would you think about seeing other people? Not right now. I'm focused on being a dad and becoming a better person. Romance can wait. When Jason left that night, Emily felt more hopeful than she had in a long time. Maybe they really could build a functional family, even if it wasn't traditional. The following months were a time of growth for all three of them. Jason became a constant presence in Lily's life, visiting several times a week and helping with practical care. Emily finished her business administration course and got a promotion at Richard's company. She now coordinated the administrative department and earned a salary that allowed a comfortable life for her and Lily. Lily, in turn, grew into a happy and healthy child. She clearly loved both her mother and father equally and seemed to thrive with attention from both. One day, Jason showed up at Emily's apartment with an unexpected proposal. "Emily, I wanted to talk to you about something." "What is it?" "I bought a house." "Really? That's wonderful, Jason." "It's a small house, but it has 3 bedrooms. Emily, I was wondering if you'd like to live there with me." Emily nearly dropped the coffee cup she was holding. "Live with you?" "Not as a couple," Jason quickly clarified. "As a family. You'd have your own room, your privacy, but Lily could have both parents under the same roof." "Jason, I know it's a big step. But we could split the expenses, share the responsibilities of raising Lily, and she'd grow up in a house with a backyard with space to play." "What if it doesn't work out? Then we go back to separate apartments." "But Emily, I think it's worth trying." "Why do you want this?" "Because I want to be there for every moment of Lily's life, not just on weekends. I want to help when she wakes up sick in the middle of the night. I want to be there when she says her first word, takes her first step. What about me? What do you want from me? Your friendship, your respect, and maybe in time, your complete trust. And romance. Don't you miss that?" Jason hesitated. "I do, but not with just anyone. If something ever happens between us again, it'll be because it's natural, not because we're living together." Emily thought about the offer. The idea of Lily growing up in a house with a backyard was tempting, and sharing the responsibilities of motherhood was appealing too. "Can I see the house first?" "Of course, whenever you want. And if I agree, we set clear rules about personal space, responsibilities, everything." "Absolutely. Emily, I just want us to be a family, in whatever way works best for everyone." The following week, Emily visited the house Jason had bought. It was a simple but cozy home on a quiet street with several young families. "Lily's room would be this one." Jason showed her a small but well-lit bedroom. "And yours would be here." He pointed to a slightly larger room on the other side of the house. "And yours? This one in the middle. That way we're all close, but everyone has their privacy." Emily pictured Lily playing in the backyard, learning to walk on the grass, having space to grow and explore. "It's a good house, Jason. Do you think it could work?" "Maybe, but with conditions." "What conditions?" "First, we split all expenses 50-50. I don't want to feel like I'm being taken care of." "Agreed." "Second, we split Lily's care 50-50 too. I don't want you getting comfortable and leaving everything to me." "Agreed." "Third, if either of us wants to leave, we can. No drama, no fights, no using Lily as a weapon." "Agreed." "And fourth, if we start fighting too much, or if living together becomes unbearable, we go back to separate apartments." "Understood." "Emily, are you saying yes?" Emily looked out the window of Lily's room and saw a child her age playing in the neighbor's yard. She imagined her daughter making friends, growing up in a community, having a normal childhood. "I'm saying we'll try." The move happened 2 months later. Richard and Catherine helped with the logistics, clearly happy to see Emily had found a stable situation for herself and Lily. "Are you sure you're doing the right thing?" Catherine asked, as they folded Lily's clothes into her new dresser. "I'm not sure about anything," Emily admitted, "but I'm hoping it's the right thing. What if he disappoints you again? Then I'll deal with it when it happens, but Catherine, I can't live in fear of what might go wrong. I have to live hoping things will go right." "You're quoting my own words back at me," Catherine laughed. "I am, because you were right. Lily loved the new house. She had the freedom to crawl around the living room, the backyard, exploring every corner with curiosity. Jason turned out to be a considerate housemate. He cooked, cleaned, took care of Lily when Emily needed to study or rest. Slowly, they developed a routine. Jason left for work in the morning, dropping Lily off at daycare. Emily left later, picking Lily up in the late afternoon. They took turns with nighttime care, split household chores, made decisions about Lily together. "How does it feel?" Richard asked during a visit. "Like a family," Emily answered. "Not a traditional family, but a family." "And Jason, how is he as a father?" "He's great. Patient, affectionate, responsible. Lily adores him. And as a boyfriend, he's not my boyfriend, Rich. We're co-parents and friends." "But would you like him to be your boyfriend?" Emily hesitated before answering. "Sometimes I think about it, but I'm also scared. What if we try and it doesn't work? What if it ruins what we've already built? What if it does work? Then Lily would have her parents together for real. It would be any child's dream. And would it be your dream too? Maybe. But dreams are scary, Rich, especially when you've had dreams broken before." 6 months after the move, Jason did something that surprised Emily. He organized a second birthday party for Lily, inviting all the friends they'd made, including Richard and Catherine. "Why did you do this?" Emily asked as they prepared the decorations. "Because our daughter deserves a beautiful party for her birthday, and because I want to celebrate these 2 amazing years she's lived. 2 years where you missed the first one, and I plan to make up for it for the rest of my life." The party was a success. Lily was radiant, surrounded by people who loved her. When it was time to sing Happy Birthday, Jason and Emily stood on either side of their daughter. "Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Lily, happy birthday to you." Lily clapped her hands and tried to blow out the candles with her parents' help. When she managed to extinguish the 2 little candles, everyone applauded. "Make a wish, princess," Jason said. Lily obviously didn't understand, but babbled something that made everyone laugh. "I think she wished for the family to stay together," Richard observed. "I hope so," Emily murmured. After the guests left and Lily was asleep, Jason and Emily stayed in the kitchen, cleaning up the remnants of the party. "It was a beautiful party, Jason. Thank you. Thank you for letting me do this. Emily, can I say something?" "Of course. These months living here with you 2 have been the best of my life." "Really?" "Really. Waking up and seeing Lily every day, sharing moments with you, being a family. It's everything I ever wanted but never knew I wanted. Jason, I know we're not together as a couple, and I respect that, but I want you to know that I love you. As the mother of my child, as a person, as a woman, I love you." Emily stopped washing the dishes and looked at Jason. "You can't say that." "Why not? It's true." "Because it complicates things." "Things are already complicated, Emily. We live like a couple, raise a daughter together, share a house. The only thing missing is love. Jason, I'm scared." "Of what?" "Of trusting you completely, of letting my guard down and getting hurt again." "Emily, look at me." She turned to face him. "I will never hurt you again. I will never leave you again. I've learned that you and Lily are the most important things in my life. How can I be sure? Because I'm here, because I stayed, because even when you gave me every chance to walk away, I kept trying. What if you change your mind? I won't. Emily, I'm in love with you. I'm in love with our daughter, with our life, with our family." Emily felt her eyes filling with tears. "Jason, I love you too, but I'm so scared." "Scared of what?" "Scared of being happy. Scared to believe good things can last." Jason moved closer and gently wiped Emily's tears. "Good things can last, yes, when we take care of them, when we fight for them. What if it goes wrong? What if it goes right?" Emily looked into Jason's eyes and saw sincerity, love, determination. She saw the man he'd become, not the frightened boy who'd run away 2 years earlier. "I want to try," she whispered. "Really? Really?" But slowly, one step at a time. Jason smiled and kissed her softly. Slow is good. We have the rest of our lives to take it slow. 2 years later, Emily and Jason married in a simple backyard ceremony. Lily, now 4 years old, was the most beautiful flower girl that ever existed. Richard walked Emily down the aisle, and Catherine cried as if it were her own daughter getting married. "You've come this far," the priest said during the ceremony. "Through hardships, losses, reunions, you've proven that true love grows through challenges, not in spite of them." When they kissed at the end, Lily clapped and shouted, "Daddy and Mommy got married!" Everyone laughed, and Emily felt she'd finally found her place in the world. At the reception, Richard gave an emotional toast. "A few years ago, my cousin showed up at my house in desperate straits. She was lost, hurt, hopeless. Today, she's a strong, independent, happy woman. That taught me people can change, happy endings are possible, and family is who stands by you in hard times." "Emily taught me," Catherine added, "that helping others doesn't make us poorer. It makes us richer, more human." Lily, sitting in Jason's lap, chose that moment to say her first full sentence, "I love my family." Everyone applauded, and Emily's heart overflowed with happiness. 5 years after the wedding, Emily and Jason sat in their backyard watching Lily play with her 2-year-old brother, Noah. "Do you regret anything?" Jason asked. "Not a thing. You? Only that it took me so long to grow up and see what I had. But you did see, and that's what matters." Lily ran over holding a school drawing. "Look what I made. It's our family." The picture showed 4 smiling figures holding hands in front of a house with a flower-filled yard. "It's beautiful, sweetheart," Emily said, kissing her daughter's forehead. "Can we put it on the fridge?" Lily asked. "We'll put it on the fridge," Jason confirmed. As Lily dashed off to show Noah, Emily leaned against Jason's shoulder. "Who'd have thought one of the worst nights of my life would lead to the best time of my life?" "What do you mean?" "The night I collapsed on Richard's doorstep. I was so desperate, so scared. I thought it was the end of everything. But it was the beginning of everything. It was. Rich, Catherine, you saved me. But more than that, you helped me save myself. You saved yourself, Emmy. We just gave you a hand." Emily watched their children playing, the house that had become a home, the man who'd become her life partner. "Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't rung the doorbell that night. But you did, and it was the best decision you ever made." It really was. They sat quietly for a moment, watching the kids and feeling the gentle afternoon breeze. "Jason." "Yeah? I love you." "I love you too. Forever." Lily ran back, this time pulling Noah by the hand. "Can we all play together?" she asked. "Let's go," Emily replied, rising from the bench. "Let's play together." And there, in that sunny backyard, with the children laughing and playing, Emily realized she had found exactly what she had always been searching for: a family, a home, and a love that lasts. The end. What a touching story. After all those twists and turns and emotions, you must be wondering what you thought of Emily, Jason, and Lily's journey. Did Emily make the right choices? Do you believe Jason truly changed? Share your honest thoughts in the comments. We love hearing what you think. And if this story moved your heart as much as it moved ours, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories like this one.